Okay, welcome to another lesson on adverb collocations. We're going to deal first with heavily. So, heavily often relates to being heavy because of what you're carrying, or in the case of the first one, heavily armed, you're carrying weapons. So, you've got so many weapons, you're armed to the teeth, so you are heavily armed. We also say heavily pregnant for ladies or girls who are pregnant, because if they're heavily pregnant, there may be 8 months through their pregnancy or 8.5 months, and you really can see the bump very clearly. You can see that they're pregnant. Okay, if something is heavily subsidised, it means a lot of money has been put into the project from the government, from government subsidies. And you can also say, I was heavily criticised for... and we do. We often say heavily criticised as well. Okay, seriously very often collocates with pain. Seriously injured, seriously damaged. It's quite similar, but not really pain. That's damage. Seriously hurt and seriously wounded. Wounded means you were injured in battle, usually. And if you're seriously wounded, maybe you're mortally wounded or fatally wounded, which means you will die because of that wound. Okay, strictly, we have strictly speaking. Strictly speaking is an expression, which means, you know, I will try to make this as true or as correct as possible. You know, I'll try and say this as correctly as possible. So, strictly speaking. You can also say this isn't strictly true. So, strictly works with true. It's not strictly true, meaning it's not actually true. If we examine it, we'll find out that it's not true. Okay, and we can also talk about strict regulations, rules, limitations. So, this was strictly regulated. Yeah, maybe we can say the gold price was strictly regulated. Or we could say it was strictly limited. If something is strictly limited, it's kept within limits, within certain limitations. So, please use strictly for regulations and limits. Potentially, as you can see, we often use it for danger. Potentially dangerous, potentially hazardous, potentially fatal, potentially toxic, potentially at fault, potentially to blame. Okay, so lots of different expressions there. I thought of another one in the middle of it, potentially toxic. Yeah, potentially poisonous, basically, toxic. But if you're potentially at fault, you're perhaps responsible. Perhaps it's your fault. Or potentially to blame. Yeah, perhaps it's your fault. Okay, the next one, blatantly. It kind of means this is obvious to everyone. Yeah, if something is blatantly unfair, it means that it's obvious to everyone that this is unfair. Anybody can see that this is unfair. Now, it's well to note that most of these are negative again. This is unfair, untrue, dishonest, wrong, mistaken. Yeah, all of this blatantly, it means obviously and something negative. So obviously unfair, obviously untrue. Okay, I hope you understand here. Please ask me any questions if there's any misunderstandings. Okay, and lastly, astronomically. Now, astronomically usually, obviously it refers to astronomy. And things in astronomy are very, very high, or they're very, very large. So it's quite easy to remember this one. We talk about astronomically high prices, or astronomically low odds, if you're making a bet. So it's very often about numbers, and it's very often about size, something which is very big. Stars are very big. Astronomers study stars. Stars are very big, so we say something is astronomically large, astronomically expensive as well, just like we say astronomically high prices, or astronomically immense, yeah, astronomically huge. So please use this word with sizes when they mean big, big, big sizes, especially these strong words like large and huge. Okay, if you have any questions, please ask me, and thanks for watching the video. I hope to see you all soon for the third lesson of adverb collocations.